It's taken just 5 years for this director of Moneyball to make it from the National League South all the way to the Premier League. 2 with Worthing, 2 at Birmingham, and 1 with Everton, which got us promoted. So join me now for the most important transfer window this director of Moneyball has yet experienced in his career. Greetings, my excellent friends, and welcome to Club 3, Part 7 of the Director of Moneyball. I'm Kirk Sheridan, and Everton made £70 million of profit last year. Absolutely ridiculous. Most of it came from player sales because, unfortunately, sponsorship was down, broadcast revenue was down, corporate and hospitality, match day income, all down. But in about 3 months' time, we're going to be kicking off back in the Premier League, so this income will all start to return. So let's review Everton's record-breaking season in the Championship. Signing of the season was Nicholas Heddle, our top-quality goalkeeper, on paper the best player at the club. Played 31 matches for us, and we signed him for just £3.7 million from Hoffenheim. There were a lot of other amazing transfers though. Sonny Finch, 26 goals and 7 assists. Mabude managed 12 assists from 44 starts on the right wing and cost us just £8 million from Manchester City. Mansverk, club captain from Juventus, 7 goals, 4 assists from central midfield and 39 appearances almost ever present since he joined us. What a player. Omobamidele started 38 matches. He was absolutely solid as a rock at the back for us. Caligari, 44 games played and 14 assists from right wing back. What a return. Some players didn't quite hit those heights though. Melvin Bard was Anthony Clark's most consistently picked left back, but for 33 starts, just 3 assists, an average of 6.85. I think we can do better than that. Now we're making the step up to the Premier League. Bajcetic, on paper, should be brilliant, but has not performed at the level I would expect. And Jolson Fernandez just hasn't started anywhere near as many games, just 7 appearances and only 2 starts since he joined us in January. Let's keep an eye out on Orteza though, because he, you can see here, is now officially our first wonderkid of the save. Our biggest win was 5-0 at home to Sheffield United. Goal of the season went to Mansverk. It wasn't apparently Sonny Finch's spectacular chest and volley combo, but it was an incredibly powerful shot from range. Ball played across from Garner to Onana. Mansverk, one touch and wallop into the back of the net from about 25 yards out. I'd give that second place. I'd still give Sonny Finch the goal of the season, personally. And the team of the season has a very familiar look to it. I'm sure you'll all recognise this. Heddle in goal, Bard, Bajcetic, Omobamidele and Caligari at the back, Onana in defensive midfield, Garner, Mansverk in the centre with Ramazani, Mabude and Finch up front. It worked brilliantly for us all season. Can't argue with any of those picks. Ramazani got Fans Player of the Year. Mabude was Young Player of the Season. Ramazani, no surprise, he was voted Player of the Year. He got most Player of the Match awards and the highest average rating. Jordan Skinner at TalkSport summed it up well. We looked imperious in the middle of the season, apparently. I'd say we looked imperious at the start and the end as well. And the Players' Championship Team of the Year, I think, sums up brilliantly just how dominant we were this season. 6 players in that Team of the Year. Omobamidele, Caligari, Garner, Medina, Mabude and Finch. No arguments here. And just to top it off, Anthony Clark won Manager of the Month. Again, I know it was only 2 matches in May, but that's lovely to see. I think that's his 3rd Manager of the Month award of the season. No, tell a lie, his 4th. What a man. But it's not all roses. Christian Medina is unfortunately unhappy that we didn't play him as an advanced playmaker. Now, this was something I had to promise when I signed him, otherwise he was not interested in joining. And it's a bit of a troublesome one because this is a place I have no control over whatsoever. I can ask Clark to pick individual players, but if I start selecting the actual role that they play in, then it defaults to the entire match tactic, which I can't go near as director of football. So I think we just have to be really honest with Medina and let him know we can't change the entire tactical system for one player and hope for the best. Thankfully, he is happy with that. He thinks that explains it pretty well. Brilliant. He's going to persevere, and I'm very happy with that. I mean, 7 goals and 3 assists from 25 starts, 7.05 rating. He's Premier League ready. Right, it is now the 1st of June. The players are all off on their summer holidays. And I can't help but think the board and our supporters have got ridiculously high expectations. Remember, we set a championship points record last season and a championship record for the number of wins in a season. And we've only got a B- from the board and from the supporters. They are expecting us to avoid relegation from the Premier Division next season. So maybe if I can get a mid-table finish, that might get us to an A. And I've started some moves in the transfer market to help us achieve exactly that. First up, John Manga would be the second best central defender at the club. He's currently available for not a lot of money at all. His contract expires in 6 months, basically, so his value is diminishing quickly. We offered £500,000, it's been accepted, and now we've got a contract offer in, 5-year deal, less than £12,000 a week. This could be an absolute bargain for someone who looks possible 5-star potential. Yes, a bit susceptible to injuries, might have problems adapting to the country, but with that potential, 500k just feels like an absolute no-brainer. And another player I've made an offer for, Abraham Santiago. 2 million up front, 1.5 in instalments, and a potential 400k after 10 league appearances. He's 18. He does not fit the typical Moneyball profile, but he's got amazing potential. I could see him coming off the bench a number of times this season. He's got 16 dribbling and 17 finishing. But this is not a typical director of Moneyball signing, so I'm kind of giving myself this one as a freebie. And you know what? Now would actually be a good time to have a look back over this season and judge just how effectively I've played the role of director of football and director of Moneyball at Everton Football Club. As you know, there are 4 particular criteria I'm trying desperately to stick to as the director of football, and to be honest, I think I've done a pretty good job this season. First up, no involvement in match tactics. Well, here you can see the squad that Anthony Clark has picked. This is pretty much the formation and the roles that he's been using match after match after match. I haven't gone near it. The only thing I've done is help him to organise his training by making sure that that's what's on the actual tactics screen. So full marks for me there. And the same goes for no team selection. At no point this year have I had to ask for any players to be forced into the team. No training is the third big principle. And I must admit, I have no idea what Anthony Clark has been doing with these players. Kylian Ledoux seems to be training as a deep line playmaker, even though he never plays him in that role. Fernandez is weirdly being trained as a left midfielder, when Clark has never shown any interest in playing with that position on the pitch. Mansverk, ball-winning midfielder on defend. No, we play with a Mazzala and a box-to-box midfielder. So in Anthony Clark I trust, or rather trusted. I'm questioning his judgment slightly more now than I did previously. But we haven't got involved at all in that side of things. And similarly, team talks, team meetings, haven't had to get involved at all. The club atmosphere, the managerial support, it's basically all down to Tony. So for the first time in this save, I think I can say I have 100% fulfilled my duties as director of football this year. And what about those 9 rules of Moneyball? The first one, promote youth players ahead of making your own transfers, is actually the hardest one to fully commit to as the director of football. I've made sure we've had George Hall available to pick, Lewis Dobbin, Jared Branthwaite, and those players have got game time, just nowhere near as much had I been managing the team and actually selecting the squad each match day. So one of my focuses for this summer window is going to be increasing the likelihood that my own youth players will get game time in the season ahead. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that yet, but watch this space. Rule 2, only by players aged 20 to 25. Well, very close, very, very close. There were 3 exceptions to that this year. Ledoux, Orteza, and Wetzels. Yes, there's another couple of incoming transfers as well, but, you know, definitely a lot more 20 to 25-year-olds than not. Rule 3, shop outside the usual markets and get as many bargains as you can. I'm fairly happy with that. Sonny Finch we paid a lot of money for, and Caligari. Omobamidele is the record signing of the director of Moneyball save so far. But apart from that, we have picked up a lot of bargains, so I'm pretty happy with that return. £125 million spent. And bringing 19 players in is a pretty good return at this level of football. Rule 4, defence before attack. Yeah, definitely. Heddle, Wetzels, Bajcetic, Omobamidele, Caligari, all of the other defenders that we brought in. We had an entirely new back 5 from the very first day of the season. So absolute mission accomplished on that one. And Rule 5, improve the weakest area of your team first. Well, yes, because we had issues in all of it. Rule 6, don't buy strikers unless you absolutely have to. Absolutely. Sonny Finch is the only dedicated striker that we brought in this year. Well, unless you also count Orteza, who didn't play. And I guess there's also Joachim Fischer, who we've got a pre-arranged transfer for, and Santiago as well. What can I say? I'm trying on this one. I really am. I promise, no more strikers. I promise you, no more strikers. Rule 7, sell everybody at their peak age, well, as much as possible, yes, but there were a lot of people already way past their peak age when we joined. Caprari, Pickford, Gay, Vestergaard, Tarkovsky, Seferovic, De Thomas, they were all into their 30s. We moved them on for as much as we possibly could, and that's left us without any experience in the team, but we've got a lot of emerging players, and a few who are already hitting their peak. Rule 8, always be scouting for replacements. Well, yes, I think you can see from the number of ongoing focuses that we're doing that constantly. And Rule 9, if you're offered more than a player's market value, you have to sell. To be honest, that was only tested once with Caprila when West Ham offered 1.3 million and his maximum value at the time was 1.2, which, to be fair, I think was undercooked given his current transfer value. But we did the best we could on that front. So I think, on balance, a brilliant job as director of football this year. The Moneyball still needs work, and that is going to be the primary focus for this transfer window. Promote and develop our youth players as much as we possibly can for the first team squad. Make sure we only sign 20 to 25-year-olds. Try and focus on bargain markets as much as possible. And no more strikers. So, of course, immediately after stipulating those criteria for the season ahead, the first player I make an offer for is 26 years old. Look at him! He's got a release clause of £750,000. Currently plays in the Colombian First Division, and he's actually got Premier League experience. He was with Wolves for a stretch. So when's his birthday? Right, so he turned 26 on the 5th of May. If he'd been in my scouting report in January, I would have signed him already. I'm giving myself a buy on this one. And here's our offer for Mosquera. We've offered him £21,000 a week. He was only expecting 10 to 13, so we've upped it quite significantly to try to secure him. I mean, it's well within budget, fingers crossed. And he wants a minimum release clause of £16 million for club in the Champions League, and obviously something we'd look to probably do away with shortly after signing him. So fingers crossed Mosquera is on his way as our second defensive signing of the season, along with Manga. And one other item of note, our wonderkid, Adrian Orteza, first cap for Argentina, and his first goal. This guy's going to be a star! And on the 12th of June, here is our first signing as we step up to the Premier Division. John Manga is joining us for £500,000, the second best defender at the club, potential to reach 5-star level. Welcome aboard, my friend. I cannot wait to have you here. And 2 days later, Santiago is on his way as well. 6th best striker at the club, allegedly, but only 18 years old. And to be honest, Mabude, Ekitike and Ramazzani would all be playing on the wing anyway. So he's probably third choice behind Orteza and Finch, and I expect we'll probably get a fair amount of game time this season. Mosquera turns us down though. He wants to join Leeds instead of us. And that's a Leeds team who finished 7th last year and 9th this year. Well, what can I say? I'd probably make exactly the same decision. Fair play to you, Mosquera. Oh, right, and they're also paying him £85,000 a week. That might have something to do with it as well. Slightly out of our wage structure there, I'm afraid. And speaking of wage structures, Onana is now approaching us because he wants a new contract. I guess this is to be expected. We're stepping up to the Premier League. Players will want that recognised in their pay packet. Don't really want him to be an important player, though. A regular starter, probably. On 71,000 a week and a minimum fee. No, let's remove that straight away. Try and get him down to 60. Oh, brilliant. And the talks broke down. He wanted far too much money that I wasn't willing to pay. He's at peak age. Is he a player that we should be looking to sell on at this stage? Well, a few days later, I've gone back in and offered to him as an important player, and he's happy to take a more reasonable wage this time. We do have a minimum fee release clause in there of £40 million. To be fair, if we get that for him, I think that's an absolutely brilliant deal anyway. So that's one of our stalwarts signed up, hopefully, for another 5 years. And here is a wonderful piece of business to help fund that. Charlie Patino, who we signed on a free transfer, may I remind you, is on the way to Vitesse for potentially £10 million. I'm not convinced by this transfer value because he hasn't played anywhere near enough football to justify that. So I think, to be honest, 9.75 million for a player who cost us nothing, well, that's Moneyball perfection. And there we have it. Onana has signed on the dotted line. We've got him tied down for a 5-year contract. Brilliant news. And we have found a potentially brilliant new signing to play alongside him. Fabian Rieder from Young Boys in Switzerland. He's got a year left on his contract. We've offered 5 million up front and a deal up to 11 in total. And the lad is quality. He's averaged a 7 rating in every season he's played so far, and he's played a load of European football at the same time. He's quite a different profile of midfielder. We've got a lot of technical players as well, whereas he can be a defensive midfielder. He can be a ball-winning midfielder. And he would be the best midfielder at the club. Only problem is there's a load of competition from other clubs. Please cross all your fingers for this one, my friends. What is Charlie Patino thinking? He's rejected the contract offer from Vitesse. Right, well, I want to make a profit on this guy. So let's offer him out and see what happens. Friday, the 25th of June, 2027, and Everton Football Club are in the Premier League once again. That's right, the season has ticked over, and the first thing that's happened is the board want to make sure I have more money available for coaches. That sounds entirely sensible because all of a sudden we don't have anywhere near the best staff in the division anymore. Quite a lot of work for me to do there this summer. The wage budget has gone a bit crazy since promotion, though, with a lot of players getting pay rises. So we're currently spending nearly 1.4 million. I'm going to have to jiggle this budget and wages around, I think, quite a bit through August and September. The projection is looking okay now we're back in the Premier League. We're not going to go into debt anytime soon, as long as we stay up. But if I want money to spend, we're going to have to sell to buy. And we are predicted to finish 17th. In the league by the media. So as things stand with the squad we have, they do think we're going to stay up. I'd like to improve our odds though somewhat. So a solid summer is absolutely essential, and I need to see some really good moves both in and out. Oh man, I love the Premier League. We're going to get 80 million quid in TV rights for the season ahead. That's ludicrous. And now out of the blue, we've had a loan offer for Lewis Dobbin. They'll pay 50% of his wages, and it's an optional future fee of £6 million with a further 5.25 in instalments if they do purchase him, and 20% of next sale. So for a player who's valued up to £12.5 million, I absolutely have to say yes to that. He did well when he was able to make it onto the pitch last year, but never started a game for us. So that could be a very handy injection to our transfer budget at the end of next season if all goes well for him on loan at Strasbourg. And here is our first signing as an official Premier League club. Fabian Rieder is in. 62 grand a week, star player, send him on an intensive language course. Definitely ask Onana to welcome him. That's not a bad start. Right, 1st of July, and Joachim Fischer joins us at the end of his contract with Bayern Munich. He does have really solid potential, but doesn't currently have a work permit. So let's offer him out on loan and see who wants to help us develop this high potential young player. And it didn't take us long to complete this piece of business either. A free transfer. Mohamed El Arouche has been in and out of a range of teams and range of levels across France for the last few years. But like Patino last year, this is a player who will be able to step in and do a job where needed, but most importantly, signed for nothing and is valued up to £18 million already. So we should be able to make a profit on that deal in the not too distant future. And on the 5th of July, the team are back for pre-season training. Garner, Onana, Ramazzani, Branthwaite and Traore have all reported back in top condition. And with our business so far, our odds have improved a little bit. We're now expected to finish in 16th place. I'm hoping I can get us up to at least 15th with some more awesome business through the rest of the summer. The atmosphere is excellent. Managerial support is good for Anthony Clark. And there's still plenty of money to spend. £20 million left in the transfer budget. And obviously more to come as we start to move players on. Bertrand Traore could be on the move for £3.3 million, so we'd get half of that in the transfer budget straight away. But I have spotted something slightly troublesome that's causing me a bit of concern. Our start to the season is terrifying. Our first match is against Newcastle. They finished 5th last year. Our second match is against Chelsea, who finished 3rd. We're then at home to Leeds, who finished 9th. And that is our easiest match of the sequence, because then we're away at Liverpool, who won the league, at home to Villa, who finished 8th, and then away to Fulham, who were obviously runners-up to us in the Championship last season. If we want to go into that Fulham match with any points on the board whatsoever after 5 games of the season, I'm going to need to do a lot of excellent business as the director of Moneyball. So do join me again soon, because that start to the season's really put the cat among the pigeons. I hope you've enjoyed what you watched today. If you've enjoyed it, please do drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel of course, and turn your notifications on to find out the second the next part drops. And in the meantime, be excellent to each other. I'm Kirk Sheridan, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.